had a GoPro doing this, but it was upside down, and we could not get it to orient correctly. So we are currently parked in downtown Ridgefield, Old Town Ridgefield, and let's see how this goes the second time. I'm just gonna hit the one button here to the right. Seen previous videos where it doesn't like to take off from a parked position, so to give it a tiny bit of acceleration. But so far we have driven maybe 8 to 10 minutes already this evening. Actually on the road, 0 interventions, even a 4-way stop, follow the rules of the road correctly, didn't have to do anything. So we are free driving at this point with this version, straightforward, but feet near the pedals to brake, hands near the squircle. We've got some pre-selected destinations. First destination took us exactly where I told it to, and it didn't park in a parking spot, and I had to continue driving, but it wasn't an address, it was just a location point. So we're going to do some back country driving, and then if we got enough battery, we may end up, battery on our devices, end up near downtown Vancouver, Washington. So it does not put on my brights, so I'm going to go ahead and, that's not a driving intervention, that's just me wanting to see. Didn't do that automatically. Speed limit went from 25 to unknown country road. Truck did not respond yet. I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple ticks up. I did not turn on the smart speed. That's a setting that I did a video on earlier, and I don't like it. It's not appropriate for the driving conditions that I'm under. So I like to keep that off and get more control. However, a more manual way of doing it, it rarely gets up to speed without some intervention. But once it gets up there, it stays there. And I have told it should go at least 40, and it's slowly getting up there. If there was anybody else, and now at 29, okay. I am going to hit the accelerator just to get us up to a decent speed. Gotta go to sleep at some point tonight. I found that's more realistic with vehicles around us, right? So if you're getting pushed a little bit or have somebody to pace, it does a lot better. But with us being the only car on the road, it sees no reason to get up to the speed that I told it to be at. Sharp couple turns. Seem to stay within the lines. This is smooth. All right. It's pretty fast straightaway. Normally do 45 here. There's no problem. There's no speed limit sign, so that I don't think the truck knows what it's supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna hit the accelerator up to 45, which is what I would normally do. And that was the setting. It wasn't getting up there. So other than these little tick ups to the right speed, where it is a little confusing, I've had this, other than that, zero interventions driving so far. We got any of our initial visitors, our initial viewers back? Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We only got the update to the car at 9 p.m. Pacific, and been wanting to do this as our first live stream, and really wanted to try out full self-driving as soon as it came out. So here we are in the middle of the night. Thanks for joining us. All right. Good full stop. Car coming to our left that it sees. That's great. All right. I did absolutely nothing. That was amazing. We got maybe 4 more minutes, or I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes on this back road, and then we'll be merging onto the freeway. A couple roundabouts. So we'll get a full, pretty good test tonight on what this is capable of. I'll give it a little bit of leeway in that it's pitch black with no moon. So everything is from the light of the vehicle, and there's not even street lights out here. I'm gonna tick it up a little bit. Again, the truck just doesn't know what the speed is here. But even when I do that, it doesn't speed up to it. So I'm gonna give it just a tiny bit of juice. It's not to upset the folks behind us. I'm not gonna count that though. That's truck's doing everything besides knowing what speed to go. Here we go, 25. That it slammed on the brakes to get down to. That's great. Slammed on the brakes. That was still pretty smooth deceleration. A lot better than waiting till you're after the line to slowly decelerate. I'd rather not get a ticket. Those of you familiar with the area, the beautiful Alene Casino and Hotel. All right, so this is a little tricky. This is a roundabout that we're gonna take the roundabout for no. We should have taken a right there. Actually, that's not true with our. All right. So what happened there was I put in the actual destination of the casino, so that's where it's taking us. But we're not actually gonna go there. We'll see if this. See how this navigates the parking lot here. All right, I'm not gonna allow that. That would work. But that is the employees lot, or the valet. So we're just gonna find a way to turn around. And I'm not blaming the truck on that one. That was the navigator. I'm gonna get it back on a road that it recognizes, and we'll kick it back into full self-driving. Full stop. Tiniest bit of hesitation, but that was great. It was looking around. So doing it this way, we'll get another full roundabout. Right lane is correct because we'll be taking a right past the junction. Smooth. All right, one of my biggest complaints on the 3 is the merge. Right, it waits till the very end of the on ramp, and it's getting over whether there's somebody there or not. I suspect it'll do that tonight simply because there's nobody to force it over, but I'll be keeping an eye on that in future drives. I turn off my brakes just so it doesn't get the temptation to do so. All right. We did kind of get to the end of that, but no one was in our way. Probably the right thing to do, but if there was cars coming, again, I expected to get to the end and freak out when it doesn't have room, but that wasn't a good test of this. But so far I haven't done, that was all the truck. Earlier I did have a tension warning when I was not looking forward. I was messing around with the map. Similar to that, and at that point it was yelling at me that I needed to stay forward. So I'm doing my best to not look around, trying to use the full self-driving hands-free, and use it in the 3 quite a bit. The first couple, first did not go well. The sunglasses, could not wear sunglasses, could not have the hat on at all. Even when I was getting yelled at and put my head back straight, it wouldn't recognize that and let me keep going. Have to intervene, let it know I was there manually. But the last few drives with the 3, and now especially here with the truck, if it starts to yell at me, all I got to do is eyes front, and takes care of the rest. So, resets me.
It's going 3 under the speed limit.
I did not recognize that, but we are under the speed limit. I'll get it up to regular driving. So I'm hitting the accelerator to get us up, but I got to pay attention to the road. So there is a trade-off. I think Tesla expects you to use the speed offset feature, which I just refuse to use. That might be more responsive or more appropriate, but it's just wrong. I like the ability to set a speed, and then if I have to accelerate up to it, then so be it. All right, there's a construction speed of 55, and it did drop us down to 59, which would be the application of my offset. So that was good. We had a 5,000-mile trip as a family to Wisconsin from Washington earlier this summer, and I had hoped for at least, stay in your lane type automation, but that did not happen. That manually, sometimes even without cruise control, that hurt my calves. But this is amazing. This is about as smooth as a drive I've had on any Tesla, having owned several at this point. So we got a construction slowdown. We might be here a minute. So I've watched one other video, and I concur with their commentary that the truck stops. It creeps up way more than I would have manually, and you can see with the camera, we're nowhere near the vehicle in front of us. But with this just dropping off, you don't really know that in the driver's seat. So the full self-driving gets a little bit closer than we would. So we don't have a huge construction delay here, but it's handling it beautifully. Again, this is 12.5.5. Full self-driving supervised.
One other person.
Interesting visualizations. Not quite of the cones, but it knows that something's going on over here. I think in the 3, even these barrel cones would show as regular roadside cones. It's interesting they're not displaying as anything really other than blobs. But it doesn't want me to look at the blobs, it wants me to pay attention to the road, so that's what we'll do. I think that was actually a very appropriate time to remind me to look forward. Earlier iterations definitely kicked in really early. And we got a truck here that's trying to get in. I'm going to hit the brake. I'm just going to give him as much room as he needs. So say one intervention, but that was deep in construction territory. Just trying not to be rude. Now we got some more traditional cones over here on the left and right, and they're not showing up in the visualization, which is interesting. I think we're about out of it. A little nervous we're going to hit one of these cones right in front of this police officer, but not quite yet. We got plenty of room. We are over the white line for sure. Which I know the truck doesn't want to do, but it is following the truck ahead of us and generally splitting the construction cones.
I think this is the least upset we've seen any Tesla
On the rumble strips?
when you're over a line and doing something strange.
Yep.
That's very impressive.
Agreed. It is not freaked out. Like I said, it's not showing cones, but we haven't driven over a cone. It hasn't freaked out. We were on the rumble strip over the white line. That's about as good as it gets. So, and I didn't touch it. We're back up to 75. We'll see if we choose to pass or get up to speed. No, that was about as good as you'd expect from any driver. That was great. So I'm not sure where the speed did change. So I'm gonna set it something a little more natural. We're still below that. And my choice not to use the speed offset. So I'm gonna hit the accelerator and get us back up to speed. But once I do, it stays there. Again, thank you everyone for being with us tonight. Didn't expect a 9 or 10 p.m. live stream, but I was very excited to get this out as early as possible. Try the technology both on YouTube and on Tesla. All right, another merge. We're staying on the same freeway, but the lane ends. And at the end of the lane, it did put on the blinker and move over. Again, I'd like to see it a little sooner, just knowing that it's anticipating if there was vehicles there, it would find a gap where every experience I've had so far, it just gets to the end of the merge lane and hopes and prays that there's an opening. I usually take over if there's enough traffic. So a couple more miles of freeway driving, and then we'll take another exit. Do a little bit of driving on a side road, some lights and some businesses and such. So in the selections for autopilot, there wasn't the usual aggressive or average or whatever they're calling it profiles. Right, so there's just the one setting. Which I know this is the more advanced of any full self-driving tech releases, but I would probably call this one of the better full self-driving, if not the best that I've had in any Tesla vehicle. It's easy. The truck is so comfortable and all that as well. I think this is now the ultimate road trip vehicle. We were getting 300 plus miles. I think we could have hit 320 if we were going just over 60, but still at 70 miles an hour, we're hitting 300 miles on the road, which by the time you did that, it was time to stop and rest and get something to eat anyways. Still, all of that, zero interventions, that was beautiful, amazing. Talking, I didn't even realize it was happening. It's not throwing me around. There's no whiplash. All right, some folks have got the coffee test. I think the coffee would have survived on that one. Interesting selection of lane, but yeah, okay. So we switched lanes mid-intersection. That's not preferred, but not a surprise either from previous versions. Smooth. All right. The only thing I'm going to do is delete our destination. No intention of actually stopping there. We'll move on to downtown Vancouver, and then from there we'll probably call it a night. It's yelling at me for looking at the screen, but it reset itself. That's exactly how I would expect it to work. So we're gonna have a little bit more freeway driving, on ramp, off ramp, city-ish driving, and I think that's gonna be our test for the night. A little abrupt, but that was required from the light turning there at the last second. I don't know if it could get any better than that. I've got a few more feet in front of us. Could have absorbed some of that. Even that was pretty good. We got a merging. This lane ends up ahead of us. Again, I expect it to get all the way to the end before it gets over. If a car had been on our left. Look at that. That was well short of the merge. That's exactly what I would want it to do. That's the first time I've seen that behavior. I'm liking this more and more. Always believed in the technology, accepting there's going to be some limitations for sure. Got a pretty good idea of when it is going to try to kill you. But tonight has been surprisingly well. Alright, freeway on-ramp. See if we get up to speed. Amazing. Alright, this is going to conclude here pretty shortly. So I will not use the speed offset, which limits the technology a little bit. But when I do not use it, I've got to manipulate the accelerator a little bit to get us up to speed. That may or may not be the case with the organic technology, the one they'd prefer us to use. I had to tap the brake to let the semi-truck in front of us once during that construction, but it was a merging situation that wouldn't have been there normally. And we changed lanes in the middle of an intersection, which I think is legal, personal preference. That would never happen. But other than that, you know, stopping at lights at the last second was as smooth as it possibly could be. Very responsive on from stops to when we can go. Navigation's been great the whole time. Smooth around corners, roundabouts. We did not do in this video, but auto park has worked great. Had that for a couple days before full self-driving came in. So just those little things that you learn to watch out for. I think this technology is great, and this will definitely help myself and my family enjoy destinations a lot more. Just takes the edge off, and it's not really if we want to go somewhere, there's nothing holding us back. So appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll do a couple squiggles down here through downtown Vancouver, but from what I'm seeing, we're pretty close, and this makes me excited for the robo-taxi event here coming up early October. I don't think we're, Tesla's quite there yet. As far as fully autonomous, it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say. So these are red blinking stoplights, and it's treating them as such, as stoplights. It's doing really well. We'll see. I hit the accelerator just to be a little bit kind. Other than that, this is doing great. All right, thanks for joining us, and we will park over here apparently. We'll call it a night. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe.